Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode of our book club. I'm Thomas and I'm really excited to start this journey with you. If you want to be one of those people who master multiple languages or improve your current skills, you're in the right place. Here, we will learn language through books that offer valuable insights and tips for mastering languages. Today's speak is an absolute game changer, Fluent Forever, How to Learn Any Language Fast and Never Forget It by Gabriel Wyner. Before we start off with the key principles of the book, let me introduce you to the brilliant mind behind it. Gabriel Wyner is not just an author, he's a polyglot who speaks 6 languages fluently. His journey from struggling with languages to becoming a language learning expert is truly inspiring. He has crafted a method that makes language learning efficient and fun, which is exactly what we need. Now, let's get into the heart of Fluent Forever and some key principles that Gabriel Wyner swears by. And I will also share how I've personally used this principle to learn English. The first principle Wyner emphasizes is the importance of pronunciation. Starting with pronunciation can be incredibly beneficial. If you can pronounce words correctly from the beginning, you will have a much easier time remembering them and understanding native speakers. For example, when I started learning English, I focused heavily on pronunciation. I used apps and YouTube videos to mimic native speakers, paying close attention to the sounds and intonations. This not only improved my accent, but also boosted my confidence in speaking. I remember spending hours practicing the subtle differences between similar sounds. It was challenging, but it paid off immensely. Correct pronunciation helps with listening comprehension too. When you can produce the sound yourself, recognizing them in conversation becomes much easier. In my experience, dedicating time to mastering pronunciation early on made the rest of my learning journey smoother. It's like building a strong foundation of a house. Everything else you had on top becomes more stable and reliable. Secondly, Wyner advises against direct translation. Instead of translating words directly from your native language, he suggests connecting new words directly to images and concepts. This helps you think in the new language rather than translating in your head. I remember creating a set of flashcards with pictures instead of translations. For example, very easy example, instead of writing house on one side and maison on the other, I had a picture of a house. This made a huge difference in how quickly I could recall and use new vocabulary. When you associate a word with an image or a concept rather than a translation, it becomes more deeply embedded in your memory. Plus, this method forces you to engage with the language more directly, enhancing your overall understanding. One of the most powerful aspects of this approach is that it encourages immersion from the get-go. You are not just learning words, you are learning to think in your target language. This principle was transformative for me because it shifted my mindset from memorizing to truly understanding. Okay, this brings us to the third principle of the book. This one is also quite interesting as Wyner introduces the concept of spaced repetition. This technique involves reviewing information at increasing intervals to cement in your long-term memory. It's a game changer in language learning. When I was learning English, I used an app called Anki, which is a powerful tool for spaced repetition. It helped me retain vocabulary and grammar rules much more effectively than traditional rote memorization. The beauty of spaced repetition is that it focuses your efforts on the items you're about to forget, making your study sessions more efficient. Over time, the intervals between reviews get longer, which means you're gradually transferring information from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. I found that using Anki for just a few minutes each day kept the information fresh and prevented it from slipping away. This method is particularly effective for language learning because it aligns with how your brains naturally work. Moving on now, let's be honest. Have you experienced learning through context? Well, in the fourth principle, Wyner emphasizes that learning words and phrases in context is far more effective than learning them in isolation. This helps you understand how words are used naturally. I use this principle by reading English books and highlighting phrases and sentences. Instead of memorizing single words, I focused on understanding how they fit into a sentence. This not only improved my vocabulary, but also my overall comprehension. Learning in context means you're seeing how words interact with each other, which helps with grammar and usage. Plus, it's more engaging than studying isolated vocabulary lists. By immersing myself in authentic materials like books, articles, and even conversations, I could see how the language is used in real life. This method also helped me understand cultural nuances and idiomatic expressions, making my language use more natural and fluent. Next, Wyner emphasizes the principle of immersion. Immersing yourself in the language as much as possible is crucial. This could be through media, conversations, or even thinking in the language. I immerse myself in English by watching TV, shows, and movies without subtitles. At first it was challenging, but over time my listening skills improved dramatically. I also tried to think in English throughout the day, which helped reinforce what I was learning. You know, immersion doesn't have to mean moving to a foreign country. It can be as simple as changing your phone's language settings or listening to music and podcasts in your target language. This goal is to surround yourself with the language as much as possible. This constant exposure helps your brain get used to the sound, rhythms, and patterns of the language, making it easier to pick up and understand. Additionally, immersion helps with pronunciation and listening skills, which are crucial for effective communication. And the final principle is super important, and that is speak from day one. Wyner, in his book, encourages learners to start speaking the language from the very beginning, even if they make mistakes. This helps you get comfortable with the language and accelerates your learning. I myself found language exchange partners online and started practicing English immediately. Speaking regularly helped me improve my fluency and gain confidence. Remember, it's okay to make mistakes, they're part of the learning process. The sooner you start speaking, the faster you will overcome the fear of making mistakes. Speaking also reinforces what you've learned and helps you internalize the language. I found that engaging in conversation, even simple ones, forced me to think on my feet and use the vocabulary and grammar I had learned. This practice was invaluable in building my speaking skills and confidence. And these 6 powerful principles from Fluent Forever by Gabriel Wyner can seriously transform your language learning journey. I have personally applied these strategies to learn English and they've made a world of difference. This principle can certainly be applied to learning French as well, for sure. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you read Fluent Forever? What are the thoughts on these principles? Do you have any questions or tips to share? Drop your comments below. Let's get the conversation started. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of our language learning book club. Happy learning, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.